What up? What up? What up? Good evening. A Georgia versus Texas special post game show. Yes, I know the game was yesterday, but today is when we talk about it. So, I had a few thoughts. I had an opportunity to watch some stuff. I need to go back and rewatch the game, Tim. I just
Yeah,
wanted to get on here really quickly and just, talk a little bit about Georgia. Of course, Georgia beats Texas 30-15. Um, in a game really that score is not indicative of how, in my opinion, Georgia dominated.
hmm
Um, what are your immediate thoughts just coming out from the game? And of course, Texas falls, before we talk about that, Texas falls to number 5, which actually isn't as big of a drop as I thought it
yeah.
was.
Um, so, so for my immediate reaction is the one the one area that I wasn't worried about is was ended up being a very interesting issue. That offensive line was the reason we lost the game. I know people are gonna say Quinn Ewers was the reason why we lost the game. Um, if Quinn Ewers has an opportunity to throw and make the throws that he normally does, then you don't have a situation where Quinn looks terrible. Um, I think he threw for 200 yards, maybe less. I can't remember off the top of my head. But um, when your offensive line doesn't hold up their end of the bargain, it prevents the offense from running. When your offense can't get set and when your offense can't establish a rhythm because you've given up too many sacks or you've given up too many quarterback pressures, you run into a situation. You know, Texas, from a defensive standpoint, did very well last night. I think people need to really look into that because there were many times where Georgia was in Texas's territory, and they did not score. And I think a lot of people only see what the final score says, and they don't necessarily see. Um, they don't watch the game in its entirety. Um, I wasn't there at the game, but you were. I would like to understand where understand your views from the actual game itself.
Yeah.
Um, I know we have been going back majority of the game back and forth because there was just things that you missed because it was just so loud.
It was,
And there seemed to be a lot of communication issues with Georgia on their sideline. There seemed to be a lot of communication issues between the reps and the loudspeaker there, which is normally not an issue. Normally, Texas is pretty sound on that type of situation. Um, things normally work in the stadium. They even got free internet. If you don't have internet or if you have an issue getting, if you have a bad connection to your phone, you can just link up to the Wi-Fi that's there, and it's pretty strong. We've been there numerous amounts of times. I've been in those situations where we can just connect to the Wi-Fi and no issue. So I know that there was some issues going on there, but regardless, like it still doesn't matter. Texas got drove. They got punched in the mouth last night, and they didn't respond the way I thought. They fought, but the offense didn't fight back as hard as the defense did, and that was telling.
yeah, first off, kudos to the crowd, man. That crowd was electric. I don't. You've probably been to a Texas games where the crowd was electric. Like what that
Oh yeah,
feels.
yeah,
The crowd was electric. It
yeah.
was it was an unreal feeling um, to be in that crowd. Obviously my wife went with me. She's like, "It's really loud." I'm like, "Yes, it is," and it
Yeah.
was like
That's how you want it
your
to be.
my ear, like, how your like ears tingle when it gets like super loud,
Yeah,
or they do this. Yeah, my ear was doing that multiple times.
that's all.
It was really loud, so loud that on the callback pass interference, we didn't even see that the flag occurred until like 10, 15 seconds after the play.
Oh wow.
right? And then after they started getting together, the booing. First off, the fans were throwing stuff on the field, completely unnecessary, right? But the booing, you know, in our section, they were yelling bullshit like the whole time, like really, really loud.
Right.
And we were actually sitting in a section next to a bunch of Georgia fans. That was
Okay.
fun. That was pretty cool. Great fans, great group. No problems. I guess one guy was heckling a bunch of Texas fans, and they got butt hurt. Um, but yeah, no, I thought the Georgia crowd was really good.
Mhm.
So the crowd was excellent. I thought it was an excellent atmosphere. Probably one of the best I've been to as a Texas Longhorn. So that was really cool. From my vantage point, you know, it's so weird when you go to games because you have such a different perspective of the game, and it's less of like, okay, what's actually happening, and more of like, I need to make sure this team wins this game first.
Yeah.
And it's like you're focusing less and less on like what's actually happening on the field. But the one thing that was very noticeable was the bad offensive line play. But one thing I've noticed just by watching a couple of videos, Quinn Ewers was terrible.
Yeah.
He was awful.
Yeah.
Like he was like losing draft stock off. I know I posted last night the O line was awful and then the QB play was meh. No, the O line probably wasn't as bad as I thought it was,
Mhm.
and Quinn Ewers was just terrible.
I don't know,
There's a
man.
clip that CJ Vogel posted that I found.
Shout out to him.
Posted it earlier. CJ Vogel's awesome. But if you remember this play, I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
If you remember this play, this is the play in the red zone where Quinn kind of like trips up, uh, almost to his knee and like catches himself with his elbow.
Yeah.
It was early in the game. I think it was the first quarter,
Okay.
and it wasn't necessary. It was completely unnecessary. The fact that he lost his footing like this. You see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So this is kind of the play developing, and you can kind of see like there's a lane right here for him to the protection here is actually pretty good.
Okay.
So as it develops, Quinn has an opportunity to do one or two things. He's looking down the field. There's maybe an opportunity here to maybe step over or step up. But you'll see here in a second, there's a huge opportunity for him to step up earlier than he does, and potentially at least either try to find a receiver down the field or throw the ball away. And you'll see that lane open up here in a second. So plays developing, the pocket's still good. He has the ability to step up right here.
Yeah.
There's an ability right here for him to step up and do something different. Right? I don't know what that is. Whether that's throw the ball down the field or try to find a receiver, or throw the ball away at minimum. Right?
Mhm.
Instead, he does it too late, and he has these like. Have you noticed Quinn's footwork be so like pitiful in the
Well,
last weeks?
let me chime in on this. In this play, that I remember seeing this play. Kelvin Banks blocks that defensive end into
Yeah,
his foot.
right.
So he gets tripped up a lot in this game. And normally when you don't when you basically when you've gone protected majority of the game, so protected to where you build up these giant leads and you're sitting out the third and fourth quarter, you run into situations like this.
But
This
here's the thing, though, right? I get that he blocks him right into him. This is before he gets blocked into him. Like Quinn could have probably stepped up. Oh, does this reset? It didn't reset. Quinn has the opportunity to do it before because Kelvin is bringing him around at this point, right?
right.
Quinn, by this time, he's already blocked into him. But before that, here he's not. He has the opportunity to step up even before he gets blocked into him, is what I'm saying. Like,
That to me, that's too early. That's a. I get what you're saying. That's too early.
Right? They're still engaged right here.
If you're still engaged, but you attempt to step up, you do kind of eliminate your throwing windows. Right here is the optimal throwing window for Quinn, so he can see everybody on the field. If he steps up and there's something that's not, he's not going to be able to probably get all of his throwing range right there in that pocket. And it's not, I'm not giving him any excuses. What I'm saying is that in that particular instance, if he steps up in the pocket, he eliminates probably the right side of the field, possibly a check down. I don't remember what play that is over there, or what was ran, but on that right side, he could potentially eliminate a check down because he steps up in the pocket, and now he would have to try to either throw over his offensive lineman, or he risks getting the ball batted down by a Georgia defensive lineman because he steps up in the pocket. Now, again, not making any excuses. I think Quinn should have utilized his legs yesterday and kept those guys off guard, and you know learn how to get down and learn how to scramble a little bit. I'm not asking him to run for a million yards. I'm not asking him to do that. But what I'm doing is I'm asking him to keep him honest. Last night he looked like a sitting duck. He looked like he had no athleticism, and he looked like he didn't need to be in that game at all because he wasn't ready. In my opinion, if he was available to come back a couple of games before Oklahoma, he should have played.
Well, that's what I was saying. I thought he should have played against Mississippi State, even if he was at 80% in that game.
Exactly.
He should have played against Mississippi State because these are the things that we've seen from him after a long layoff. Like 4 weeks is a long time.
4 weeks is a very, very long time, including a bye.
That's
You
the
don't
problem.
see including a bye, you don't see any action. You don't see, of course, the main thing is that to get healthy, right? And of course he was there for majority of the games or all of the games that were there. But that 1 week, you don't have that opportunity to get those type of reps in. Now, will he get those reps in at practice? Yeah, but he's not getting any real game time reps in. And even when he's in practice, they're not going to touch him because they don't want to risk him getting injured any more than he already is. What I saw in that field was a lack of confidence. What I saw was he wasn't poised, he wasn't ready, he was unprepared. And when you don't have those things, you run into a situation where Arch comes in the game. Now, we both, when you found out about Arch coming in the game, of course, there's like a 30-second delay. When I saw that Arch was coming in, you were like what's going on? I'm basically like, listen, it's not a problem. Quinn, what they're gonna do is they're gonna sit him down. They're gonna have the offensive lineman, and they're gonna have their play callers talk with him. The assistants. They're gonna sit down and look over what's going on and try to figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, while they're doing that, they're giving Georgia a different look because they weren't expecting Quinn. I mean, they weren't expecting Arch to show up in that game. What Arch did get in that game, Arch did look a little bit better than Quinn. Because here's one thing, and I think a lot of people don't take this into effect. By the time that Arch Manning gets in the game, that Georgia had a comfortable lead. What is it? Second quarter, 3 minutes or 4 minutes left in the second quarter?
Yeah, late second quarter.
They don't at this point, they don't have anything to lose. Arch has nothing to lose at this point. The only thing they're gonna ask him not to do is to turn the ball over. And of course, he's gonna go out
anyway.
Right. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna play a little different than Quinn because Quinn hadn't seen his action, or Quinn's seen his action before. Arch hasn't. So Arch goes out there. Of course, unfortunately, he lays a dud. He gets hit. He drops the ball, and the ball's turned over. I think they should have given Arch one more rep at the start of the third quarter, just to throw them off balance, and then get Quinn back in there. Listen, at the end of the day, like, I'd rather take this loss now than to take it in the SEC championship. I'd rather take this loss now because it goes to show two things. It goes to show that one, that there's improvement that can be made, right,
Yep.
on the offensive line. They just got to get more nasty. That offensive line did not look hungry until the third quarter, and I'm talking that's too late.
Yeah.
At that point, that's too late. You at that point you're down what 20?
Yep.
You're down 20. Uh, that doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
That is not going to win you ball games. Uh, Georgia scores 16 in the second half. I mean, in the first half, you can't let that go. You can't let that happen. Again, 30-15 is not crazy. It's not a beating, but
It wasn't a beatdown. Yeah.
it
It
wasn't a beatdown. But again, Carson Beck
equally as bad.
he looked equally as bad. He threw
But
he threw three
thing about
interceptions. He only
Carson,
threw for 175 yards. The only shining thing that Carson Beck did that was really, really effective was run and made it to get that fourth down, convert on
on
that
that
third
option play.
down with the 3 minutes to go in the
Yep.
fourth quarter. That honestly was the best play of the game for Carson Beck. There are a couple of
He made a couple of throws.
Yeah.
Like he made a this is the thing that I even if Quinn did this, we would have won that game. Carson Beck makes a couple of timely throws throughout the game to do a couple things. Either keep drives going or to like that long 89. So the longest drive that Georgia had was 89 yards. They didn't have another drive over that, over 35.
Right.
So the defense, I thought the defense was excellent, honestly.
The defense the defense did exactly what they tried. The defense did what you asked them to do in these type of situations. It's on the offense to convert and keep on going. You can't ask that defense to continue to ball out the way that they did. That the fact that
if there's one knock on the defense I had, the run defense was terrible. I don't think that the run fits were there every time. I thought they got bullied off the line of scrimmage sometimes, especially in the interior. I do think this game really does come to the trenches, and I think the offensive line didn't play well against the defensive line they played this year is very reminiscent to the defensive line that they played in Washington in the semifinal, like size wise, right? Like Georgia's this defensive line's not huge, but they were athletic.
Yes, I was gonna say, listen,
especially Jalen Walker on the outside. The other guy on the other, I think Williams is his name. Did on the fourth down that Quinn kind of gets the ball tipped at the end of the game to keep that drive going. He gets around Kelvin. He beats Kelvin.
Listen, Jalen Walker, Mikael Williams,
that's his name. Yeah.
They both combined for 5 sacks.
Yeah.
And that's Jalen Walker.
He's gonna be a first round pick.
I mean, he was already a freak of nature. We knew that being a junior, we knew what he was gonna do, but we didn't know he was gonna do that.
Especially against Kelvin Banks, who as a freshman shut down Will Anderson.
Made Will Anderson a non-factor.
Which is a shocking part. But hey, listen, I don't think it's going to do anything to Kelvin Banks' draft stock. He's still probably the best in the nation.
I think he had
a bad game.
One bad game in how many years?
3.5 years. It's going to happen, right? And I think that is the story of the day, right? Texas just had a bad game, and it just happened to be against Georgia, and against the team that could take advantage when you have a bad game. The crowd had a bad game. The crowd had bad moments, but the crowd was electric. Texas overall wasn't very good yesterday. And if we're talking about like this is what it takes to beat the pinnacle of this conference, this is what it takes. Now they understand, oh, this is what I have to do to get to the level. And I think that's the message to Sark is like, I told you guys, it's not going to be easy. This ain't the Big 12 anymore.
Right.
Like, even if Texas played that way yesterday, they could have probably beaten the best Big 12. They would have probably still beaten BYU.
Yeah.
But that's not going to do it against these guys in these conferences. Like this
Right.
conference is not that. So if anything, if you will, it was a quote unquote welcome to the SEC moment for Texas.
That's a hell of a welcome to the SEC moment.
So
That
teams
is
will come into your house and they are not afraid of you.
that is one hell of an SEC. Welcome to the SEC moment. Again, I want to I do want to shout out these defensive backs again for stepping up. Michael Taft straight spearing everybody
Yeah.
inside. I mean, the dude literally had the most tackles out of anybody on the defense. I counted. I think he had like seven solos that I saw.
Yeah.
And then Jade Barron, uh, um, uh, Emeka Akuba doing his thing.
He got an injury. I'm trying to see if there's an update on his knee injury.
I haven't heard about it. You know, normally I didn't.
Probably won't be till Monday. I think
Yeah,
Stark said um, he did walk off on his own.
yes.
I'm hoping it's like yeah, I don't know if it's an ACL or anything like that. Because usually ACLs you can't walk off on your own on, but I'm not sure. But I'm hoping it was just like a hyperextended knee, maybe ACL
Hopefully,
sprain.
I don't hope. I hope it's. I hope he just a hyperextension. You run into a situation where hey, you know he hyperextends it. He goes and sits down. Just stay off of it for a little bit, and you're good. Listen, next week they got Vanderbilt. That ain't gonna
And
be easy.
Vanderbilt's ranked in the top 25 now.
Vanderbilt ain't gonna be easy.
No, it's not going to be easy.
You're gonna have to come in here, and you're gonna have to play just like Georgia did, because guess what? Who's coming into town? Guess who's
After
coming into
that,
town? Oh, you
DJ
got a
Ladd,
kid. You got a kid that's coming in,
nothing to lose.
nothing to lose. You got Pavia coming in here. We don't necessarily know. Do we know what the status on Bond?
What happened to Bond?
I mean, not Bond. What's the receiver that went down?
Who went down?
There was a receiver that went down. He didn't come back. I want to say it was. Can't remember who it was. Jesus Christ.
I don't. I thought Makuba. Well, Makuba's the only injury that Sark mentioned yesterday.
No, there was another. One of the wide receivers went down yesterday, and he did not come back into the game. Was it Bond? Let me look this up. No, it wasn't Bond.
I don't remember
Isaiah Bond. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Isaiah Bond. Yeah, he did not play in the second half. Like he was not a factor because he didn't play. He had an ankle injury in the second half of the game.
Really?
And
See, these are the things you just don't notice.
yeah.
Sark didn't. In Sark's post game press conference, he doesn't even mention Bond.
Yeah. There was a reporter that mentioned it because they were talking about it. He was sitting on the sideline. He was on a knee. He was like, I haven't seen him in three offensive possessions. He's got a helmet on, and they mentioned that he was walking like gingerly, like he had an ankle injury, and he just wasn't there. I mean, I don't. He just wasn't available. So yeah, we got a couple. Golden was in it. Golden was out. Shout out to Kelvin. Appreciate you coming in here, man. Thanks for the follow again. Yeah, it was a perfect storm of things not going right yesterday. And man, I don't know, man. Like what the one thing I love about being at games at DKR is that you get to see these games, and these games just happen to be, you get to see these plays and you get to see these plays form. and they get to, you couldn't really see that on the TV, and that was one thing that I wish I was at that game. However, I know Harish, he just dropped out. He will be back in a second here. That was one thing I really wanted to go to this game. It was just like outrageously expensive. Some of these tickets guys were going for over $1,000 at a time. Or I've seen some nosebleeds going for like $685. I'm not sitting in the nosebleeds. So yeah, I'm not doing that. So that's I'm all good on that. But yeah, you got a kid coming in here next week with Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is a really solid team. Vanderbilt likes to run the ball. Again, you got a quarterback in Pavia who transferred in. You got Alexander from Austin LBJ. He's going to look to show out. And if I'm Vanderbilt and I'm these guys, I'm licking my chops. Got an opportunity to come in here, look at these guys, see if they got the fortitude to bow up, and really see if they're really ready to do it, because the way that offensive line was looking last night and the way the defense was going, I don't know, man. Yeah, Alexander is going to be a major factor next week. Again, he's from Austin, one of the Austin kids that I've been going after, that I've been telling and raving about. He beat the Austin AISD rushing district record at Austin LBJ, and he was on that team. I want to say, let me see who else was on that team. Maybe Andrew Makuba was on that team. I'm not sure. But anyway, they're gonna try to beat Texas while they're down, and that's gonna be a real interesting game. I'm hoping for a bounce back. What do you do in a situation like this? You just hope for the best, and you hope that you don't. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Kelvin says that Makuba was on that same team that Alexander was for Vanderbilt when they were doing their thing at Austin LBJ. So yeah,
Alexander?
No, Andrew Makuba and Alexander, Cedric Alexander, not Sean Alexander, Cedric Alexander, were on the same team the year that he broke the AISD rushing record.
Oh.
That was up for forever, like 40, 50 years almost. Yeah, Cedric Alexander, sorry. So yeah, they're gonna come in, they're gonna be, listen, Vanderbilt is going to be hype.
Oh, Cedric. Yeah. You're talking about the running back from
Austin LBJ.
Yeah. Okay.
They're gonna be hype. They're gonna play real hard next week.
Yeah, they have an opportunity to go 6-2.
They got an opportunity to go 6-2. If you think about it, I'm trying to repeat the exact same thing that Georgia's giving you. If you've got the athletes and you got somebody that is quick and nimble, listen, I know Kellen Banks he's a one in a lifetime. Is he going to have 2 bad games in a row? I don't know. I don't think so. That's not something that I see in the future happening for that guy. But you want to try to get some speed on the outside, right? Looks like Harish dropped out again. But yeah, it looks like you want to get some speed on the outside, man. I don't know what the offensive line could possibly do from this point. I really don't. I really, really don't. For those that are out there, listen, I appreciate you guys coming in on so short notice. Again, we threw some stuff up on TikTok as well. From my man Harish got some information, got me some videos out there. So we threw those up there on the TikTok. Try to get you guys some good footage of what was going on at the game. Harish, what else stood out for you while you were at the game? I really want to get your perspective from the game because, like I was stating while you were out, like uh, it's different from watching on TV. You don't get to see a game, a play form as much as you do when you're on the field and you're watching it from the stadium. You get to see these things kind of take form. What did you notice? From being because you had really good seats, by the way.
Yeah, they were nice.
Yeah, like I was
And it was
explaining,
nice.
I was telling the guys that uh man, that these some of these nosebleed seats were going for like $700, $800.
Yeah, we got a good deal on our tickets, so I was very yeah. Kelvin mentions this guy's defenses was a killer. Yeah, Georgia ran a lot of one high, two high cover shells, and then
Yeah,
they
'cause
switched
they
them
got
to
they
yeah,
got
and then they switched them to something else post play. Quinn was
when
not good at reading the defense.
when your defensive line is able to do what they do, you don't have to do much. You
Yeah,
really again, it gets to the point of where you make sure that the guy that is in front of you doesn't get behind you. And they didn't give up anything deep. Again,
nothing.
they did
I
give up
also
some
don't think Texas tried enough to go deep because there were a couple of opportunities from my vantage point.
right.
Early, that first drive or second drive when they got in the red zone, Bond was open a couple times. When Manning got into the game and he had his second series, I believe, right after the play where he took off, Bond was wide open on the outside.
Man.
So there were a
It,
couple. I
it
just
doesn't
don't think they
it
tried.
doesn't do justice. I'm so like, dog, I would love to be at this game because I would like from a standpoint of just a fan and just to see how things open up like from a gameplay,
Yeah,
like an offensive gameplay and a defensive man. I bet Coach Ware would have had a ball because
yeah.
you would be able to see when you're out there, you'll be able to see how things just kind of open up and see what kind of schemes and what they're doing. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I would
but
agree with this. And we saw one clip earlier. There's probably going to be more. This is the part where it was hard for me to see from my vantage point because you're looking directly down the line, right?
right,
So you're only seeing, um, guys move on the. You don't really get a chance to see the pocket, which is really hard to see. But
right, right,
in the film, you can see the pocket.
right, for sure.
Um, that's why I was saying it felt like the O line was not very good.
Right,
I still think that's true, but I also still think that I do think there are opportunities for Quinn to step up in the
yeah,
pocket. So
yeah,
it was just a mixture of battle line play yesterday. Cam Williams was terrible yesterday. Cam Williams struggled with pre-snap penalties, blocking his man
yeah,
on the other side, whether that be Mikael Williams or Jalen. They move those guys around, and Cam Williams was not very good. A guy that we thought was kind of starting to shoot up the draft. He lost some money.
yeah.
Um, Also shout out Conley High School alum Johnny
Hey
Barron.
man, shout out to
Amazing.
Jade man for making that
Johnny
play.
Barron was awesome.
This is my only critique. If you want to be, and man, I hate doing this, but I just want to mention it because our homeboy JD mentioned it. He was telling me how he watched an interview with Deion Sanders, Ed Reed, and I can't remember whatever Hall of Fame defensive back. One thing he mentioned is he said that when they would catch the ball or if they were doing any defensive drills and they call interceptions, they practice finding a way to get to the end zone every time.
Yeah, yeah,
To me, and again, I don't necessarily remember everything's happened so fast. It's been so much information and so much going on within the last 24 hours. Did we score on that drive?
no. So we scored on the drive where the pass interference got called back. We
Right.
scored on that one.
So we
First
did
we did not score on because Makuba gets the really athletic. The first
he
interception was
gets the one
completely
hand
thrown up.
interception.
No points.
Right.
Jade Barron, the Jade Barron interception in the red zone. No points. So in Georgia gets 10 points off a turnover. That's the game right there.
Right,
Georgia gets 10 points off of turnovers. If
right.
they don't get those 10 points, it's 20 to 50.
How many
And
interceptions did Jade get yesterday? He got 2, right? I want to say he got
I
2.
believe he got two, right? Because he got the one. Yeah, he had two because he had the one that came back all the way to the 8. That
Right.
scored on the drive. And then
Yeah. He got
Quinn's fumble.
2.
Oh, I wanted to talk about that. What did you see on the fumble from Quinn? Because to me,
He
I
got
think
blasted and had no presence or awareness that guy was coming.
yeah. Well, I think there's two things, right? I don't know if the O line slid protection, and if they did, I don't think Kelvin Banks caught the protection to slide you unless they overloaded that side of the ball.
It was a man on man. It was a hat on a hat.
So then that's Kelvin Banks, he just blasted through.
That's
It
not
was
on
almost
Kelvin.
like a man came free.
That's not on Kelvin Banks. If a nickel cornerback, I mean,
Well, that's what I was saying. Oh, the nickel came
if
in.
there's a weak side cornerback that's coming after you, that came from the weak side. The strong
Quinn
side.
should have noticed that. Quinn
Quinn,
saw that blitz happening before he snapped the ball
right?
and said, because the guy was standing at the line and he would have said, "Hey,
Yeah, it was a delayed
this is
blitz.
the blitz." Yeah,
It was a delayed blitz. It was a delayed blitz, which was a
But
lot
that's
of
something the third year starter should have had the awareness of post play to say, "Oh shoot, that guy's coming. I need to get rid of it, or I need to do something." I felt like there's a communication error there. Something had to have happened.
the delayed blitzes worked like magically yesterday. Um,
They killed us on that. That's really where the touchdowns came from, right? They essentially get the ball in the red zone. Screw the red zone. They basically got the ball on like the 8-yard line.
yeah,
And the second time, the first time they held them, or no, the first time they got beat, they got beat both times. Both times. That's where the two touchdowns came from. That's
yeah,
14 points. Dude,
yeah.
I don't think Georgia's offense was not very good. They were neutralized despite the situations they were put
It was listen. That game was just a. I think. I think personally, I just you go in. You can't have your guys. You can't have both your quarterbacks rattled, and both of them looked bad yesterday. Both of them looked rattled.
in.
Both of them gave up the ball. Both of them had multiple Quinn had multiple turnovers. Arch, they just I know what they were doing. I know what they were intending to do. It did. I think they should have just. I don't know. They should have just left it alone. But I get what they were trying to do. Again, giving different looks. Now,
Well, I do think it actually kind of sparked them a little bit. At least it sparked Quinn because he looked great in the third. Dude, Quinn in the third quarter was like, okay, we're coming back in this football.
right, but that's when the offensive line decided that they wanted to play, and it was like
and then fourth quarter
I also think it was a little bit of an expendage of energy. I think Georgia's first half they gave it everything that they possibly can.
Well, yeah, they were trying to push us.
And then just I think they threw all of their haymakers within the first couple of quarters, right? That first half, Georgia threw everything they could give to them.
Yeah,
and then
this is really what it comes to. Defense was the bright spot, but Georgia was just better execution wise. This is what Kirby's been in these types of games a lot at this point.
Right.
Sark has been in a few as an OC, but not as a head coach. It's different. You play a different.
I don't think Sark has been in a lot of these as an OC, if you think about it.
I mean, they played. I mean, the year they won the national title at Alabama, they had a couple of scares. Not scares, but like they played a couple of good teams. Like
they played a couple of good teams, but like, look what they had.
That's true. Texas has that type of talent, though.
The Texas does have that type of talent, but they didn't like. If you think of the teams that Sark played, or the Alabama teams especially, there were no major injuries prior or during the school year that he was at Alabama.
That's fair. Yeah.
Again, I hate that we don't have CJ Baxter. I really do hate that we don't have.
There when they did the whole Jalen Hurts,
Jalen Hurts Tua.
Yeah, wasn't he there for that duo?
I want to say he came the next year. I want to say that was his last year in Atlanta.
Okay.
Because he went from Washington, USC, and then he went to Atlanta, then Alabama, now Texas.
I agree with Kelvin. I don't know of how. I don't think having CJ Baxter saved Georgia.
Does having a
Or
healthy
same,
running
same,
back
same.
room save this game? Yes. Let me tell you why. Because being able to have an offensive line with healthy running backs and having your best running backs available, should be able to pick up on certain things like blitzes, keeping your running back in to chip a defensive end, keeping a running back in as a safety net. Was Trey Wisner bad? No, he wasn't bad, but you could tell you could see the I'm not saying that he was bad. He was not bad, but he just wasn't effective enough. He was
His
effective
role,
because at times, Quinn was able to get him the ball, but Quinn also did not get him the ball effectively because there were plenty of overthrows that Quinn missed. There was about 3 that I could think between Trey and Jaden Blue that he just did not get the ball to him. I think if you have a Cedric Baxter there, you have a bigger back that can chip and help with these defensive backs. Also, I mean, with these defensive alignment, and they also have to hold those guys. The defensive linemen also have to account for that running back, and the linebackers have to account for him because you can't sit up there and you can't really just blitz like you want to. They were able to just blitz whenever they felt like it. It just happened. It did. Yeah. I mean, at this point, I mean, there's nothing more to harp on. We we pretty much covered everything.
we can. There is one thing I do want to talk about. Texas was fined $250,000 yesterday, today, and all those were involved. I think Sark has lost confidence in Jaden Blue because he didn't have a single carry yesterday.
I don't know why.
I think he lost confidence in Jaden Blue. He, because of the fumbling issues. And I think what he was thinking in his mind, and maybe this is just him like out thinking himself.
Can we be?
He has the fumbling issues, and he didn't want Georgia's defensive line, especially, to go in and like start poking and prodding at the ball.
Can I be honest with you? Trey is a harder runner than Jaden Blue is.
Yeah, no, I agree. The problem with Trey Wisner is
he's just young. Not as fast as Jaden. He's just not as fast. To me,
he's for the way he plays, he's a fast.
Yeah, he's just not. He's not gonna be your. He's not a Jaden Blue track. Jaden Blue has track speed.
Yeah,
he has track speed. Can he get up? Yes. Is he track speed get up? I don't know.
He also has a fumbling problem, which is a big problem.
Jaden Blue has a fumbling problem. We that's a thing. Okay? So let me ask you this, and we can go a little bit more, but I just want to get what you think. I want to hear what you think about next week. So next week you got Vanderbilt. I want to say Vanderbilt comes to Texas.
No, we got to Nashville.
Okay, so we go to Nashville. Okay, that's going to be interesting. What do you want to see next week? What do you want to see from these boys next week? Because I'll tell you what I want. I'll tell you what I want to see, but I want to hear if we're on the same page or not.
I want to see I need to see Quinn have a good game.
Okay.
Because we've had back-to-back games where Quinn has not had a good game, and the reasons because of that are now becoming like it's going from like, oh man, it was a one-off to now it's done it 2 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
It's becoming a trend. And I will tell you this: if Arch Manning has to come into a game one more time this season, Quinn's not coming back.
I think it's done.
He's not. We talked about this early in the offseason. The only time if Arch Manning has to come and play significant amounts of time for this football team, Quinn will not be back for this football team. So that's Quinn has to play well next week. Like if this offense does not get back to what it was early in the season, he's done. He's not coming back, and Arch will be the starter.
I literally think Quinn. And again, I don't like talking negatively like this, but literally any award that Quinn was up for prior
Oh, it's
to
fine.
that
Whatever.
shit done. Get that shit out of your head. What you need to
Focus
work
on
on,
winning football games.
focus on winning the football games. That the Joe Moore, I can't remember the offensive line award. Get that shit out of you.
Yeah.
You
I don't
get
care about
that.
any awards anymore. It's about
That's
you got your praise,
all of that is out of here.
about winning.
The main focus that you guys need to have is winning every single game, winning them hopefully in a I would hope that you would want to win them in a dominant fashion because you got played on the
I
offensive
just
and
want to
defensive
win.
lines. No. At this point,
I just want to win.
no fucking way. There's no way that you can sit up here and say that you just want to get the win. No. Because that what if you're squeaking by like a Miami who's
Yeah.
ranked in the top 5 now, that's not going to help you in the end. Because what they're going to remember is they're going to remember, yeah, you might have squeaked by and you got these W's, but we remember when you faced a big dog and you got boat raced.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's what these voters are going to remember. Because now we're
That's right.
talking about in 2 weeks, we're talking about the real deal now.
Yeah,
Not just all these AP stuff. That's all fun. It's good to talk about. It's good. It's a good segment to talk on and stuff like that. In 2 weeks, you get the real deal. The first weekend of November, you get the real college football playoff or the real college football poll with the writers and ads and things. You can't play around no more. This you need to be focused on trying to get a bye.
Yep.
You have to. If you want any saving grace, just to me, if you want any saving grace, you need a bye. You need that bye so that you can get your team prepared. You need that bye so that you can get healthy if anybody's banged up, because there's no more buys after this either. That's it. You go
use
on
your mulligan. You use your mulligan.
You get out of jail free pass. It's over. So now you got Vanderbilt, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, and A&M. And A&M is ranked ahead of you right now in the conference at 4-0 in the conference.
Win out, and you're going to get back. You're going to get back to the national. You're going to get back to the SEC title game, but you have to win out. There's no more margin of error. Alabama has 2 losses. Tennessee still have 1 loss. LSU has 1 loss.
It's tight at the top.
It's very tight at the top.
It's tight at the top. It's literally tight at the top. There's no margin for error. There is 1, 2, 3, 1, 1,
You're
2.
currently sitting in 4th place behind LSU and A&M, who will play each other in Georgia. Beating Georgia yesterday would have given you the tiebreaker against both Georgia and Alabama.
There's 6 teams at 6-1.
That's a lot game right now.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
1 loss will put you almost pretty much out of it.
Yeah.
Like Alabama
A&M did not look good yesterday, from what I heard, but
they did not look good. No, they did not. Alabama is 2-2 in the conference, dog. Yeah. 2-2.
Alabama's done.
I mean, the only way I see them getting in is if they somehow pull it out. I want to say they have an interesting game coming up here, where they play. They need to beat Missouri. They need to beat Missouri, and they need to beat LSU. That's the only way that I see them getting into the college football playoffs. They got to win those 2 for sure.
So A&M has LSU coming to town this week.
They're going to lose that game.
Then they go to South Carolina.
They're going to lose that game.
And then Auburn, and then Texas. I don't know if they lose to South Carolina.
South Carolina. Listen, the 3 best defensive lines in the country right now based on me just looking at what is going on, Georgia, South
Clemson.
Carolina, and Clemson. Them three right there, they are crazy good.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome, man. Well, hey, Texas gets fined $250,000 yesterday for everything that happened on the field. Everybody that was involved will be identified and will be kicked out for the rest of the athletic season. All sports.
Man,
So, Longhorn Nation, we gotta do better, man. That's crazy. Like, it was again on the field. It happened on the opposite side of the stadium, right?
you
I
couldn't see
saw a
it,
few
right?
things throughout the game just flying,
Yeah,
but I didn't see that on the end zone on the other side during the game. And then all like we were all like talking and chatting, and the next thing you know, the refs are overturning.
wait,
And then like, come on, bro, come on, bro. Nah, bro, we can't be doing that, bro. You putting people's lives in danger.
listen. Um, the officiating was terrible.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
sure.
horrible. It was horrible.
That officiating was some of the worst. And I mentioned this before. I mentioned this last week. I said that officiating wasn't good. The officiating wasn't good. And I don't know what to. They've thrown some names out there and who they were affiliated with and what school they went to and all this. I don't care about none of that. That is bad all the way around.
Yeah.
The from like calling a holding call while you were running on a special teams play that happened 20 yards after you left.
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense. If you think about that call puts Texas at the 35. Not Alabama. Georgia's 35, and they called it back.
Yep. Yeah, man, it was tough. But we'll break it down more on Thursday. I just want to jump on here and talk really quickly. Also, by the way, just for those of you guys that like to make fun of Oklahoma, I got beat down yesterday, and then they've just fired their offensive coordinator. So,
Really?
yeah, Seth Luttrell is officially gone. So let's all point and laugh at Oklahoma as we get out of here. My name is Harish. This is my guy Tim. We're out of here. Peace.
So Gabriel.